Thank you very much for tuning in. This is Nami, and here is the video for the week ahead. This is a profoundly big, massive week. This is the culmination point of 2025. This is the energy that is bringing up a lot of conclusion, a lot of dissolution. Everything is dissolving, everything ending, everything concluding, so that we can start new chapter in our life, right? This is the culmination point of the snake year that we are in 2025. The snake being as the yin energy, receptive energy, one of the key symbol of Scorpio is also snake. So this is the week that leads us to that Scorpio new moon. So this is the final, right, as we move through the dark moon phase this whole week up to that new moon that happens on the 20th. This is like we are peeling the residual layers that we haven't shed yet, the energy of attachments and the energy that we're still clinging onto, resistance, frustration, anger, all the regrets, all the anxiety for the future. Also, we are being asked to open up, drop them, let them be the old skins that we are choosing to shed. If things are not going the way that we want at this point, let them have it. Let them do all the things, crazy things, chaos and all of that, right? Things not going. There is war going on. There is craziness going on. There is so much chaos going on. We don't know where we are heading. You can be holding a strong opinion about something, and then there may be some people that you are holding resistance against, right? Let them have their way. This is the week that we need to kind of drop all the layers of weight. Resistance is a weight. Expectation is a weight. The frustration and confusion and all of them are energetic density that we need to drop in order for us to ascend. But this week and this new moon in Scorpio is all about the depths. It is the water energy. Water energy descends. In order for us to ascend, we gotta descend and get to know the depth of the density of that concentration energy. It's the magmatic force at the core of this planet. We gotta go dive into the raw messiness and density and all the energies, right? Scorpio energy can manifest as the force of manipulation and control, and just density of emotions and ties can be intense whole week, right? Because this is the really potent new moon that's happening at 28 degrees at the critical close to the end point of the sign. So it can create massive density and heaviness, and all the energies of attachments can come up. All the things that you thought you healed already may rise up. You may see dreams of those past old patterns, and if you see that, please know that even you're clearing and cleansing through your dream. Don't take it as like, oh, I'm still holding on to these energies and I'm just struggling. Rather than holding that kind of thoughts, take it as it's our psyche, cleansing and clearing all those past outdated patterns during the sleep. And that may trigger discomfort, but embrace them as the process of purging and releasing and ending and saying goodbye to that old self and old story patterns that we've lived through, because this is the end of a chapter. In order for us to rise from our own ashes, metaphorically, the Scorpio archetype of alchemy and transmutation and transformation. This is the week that we are doing that work. And then when after that new moon, the sun ingresses into Sagittarius right the following day on the 21st, and then sun meets with Pluto in sextile. Pluto is in Aquarius sextile with Sagittarius, right? So that Pluto is the planetary ruler of Scorpio, which holds the true essence of the underworld, true essence of the death, rebirth, transformation theme. And when the sun, our immortal essence of who we are, meets with the sun in Sagittarius right after this death moment of this Scorpio new moon, we are going to emerge as the brand new self who remembers who we are. It's not the brand new self like totally new. This is the month of remembrance. This is the new moon that conjunct Mercury in retrograde. This is the journey of us remembering that, whoa, I am bigger than who I thought I was. I am way vast and infinite than all those problems that I'm carrying. I am remembering who I am, and then with that remembrance, certain energetic pattern starts to dissolve. Those density starts to dissolve. Those frustration starts to dissolve. Those struggle that we are carrying in life, comparing ourselves with this or with that or with this standards, with this societal norm, all those labels and unnecessary comparison starts to dissolve, because I choose not to fit into that. I choose to be authentic as God's one of a unique kind creation, and I choose to be free and happy and joyful and in bliss, unconditional supreme love. That is who I am and who we are, and I choose to commit on living with that truth and that only. That is the kind of an energy that I'm feeling about this week from November 16th or the 17th. Today is the 17th on Monday, up to the 23rd Sunday of November. Okay, so again, this is the big week, and this week starts with this Monday. The sun reaches the 25 degrees of Scorpio, creating a grand triangle shape, threading the energy of this Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces, three water element. They are inviting us to slow down and be quiet. We want to let our spirit to shut down the noise of the mind. Shush, right? We want to keep tapping into our spirit, higher divine self, to shush this crazy ego-driven mind who's always trying to figure out this and that and this and that. Like, no, this is the week to be receptive, right? Water elements is all about receptivity. But because in order for us to receive the divine guidance, because this much water energy is all about divinity, trusting that divine, trusting that infinite, trusting that vast, eternal void of the universe, dark matter of the universe, unseeable realm of reality, more than what is seeable, what is tangible. No, it doesn't. When we are tuning into the unseeable realm of magic, magic will appear even without us pushing to create that magic. No, this is the water trine. So this is the receptivity, this is quietness, this is listening to the whisper of our own divine consciousness speaking to us. If we want to hear our intuition and our inner self talking to us, we need to delete the noise of the mind, because the noise is loud, but our higher self speaks in whisper, in like aha moment, in like sudden ideas, sudden awareness. That's the way that our intuition speaks to us. So we want to clear the noise, we want to lower the volume of our logical, critical, analytical thinking mind as much as we can. And we are still moving through this retrograde cycle as well. And Mercury retrograde is a great time period where we can choose to kind of like rewind our mind, kind of like change the patterns of this brain chemistry and neurotransmitter to keep receiving the same signal, keep receiving same kind of ideas, same kind of thinking patterns, same kind of reactive patterns. This is the time period where we want to disrupt the pattern and think different, respond differently, and so that we can kind of create new pathways for that transmission to occur in our brain, right? And on Tuesday, on the 18th, Mercury in retrograde moves back into Scorpio. Mercury retrograde started at 6 degrees of Sagittarius, and on the 18th, Mercury will retrograde back into Scorpio around 10:19 p.m. So it can happen on the 19th. Now this is a vibe shift. Mercury, while it was in Sagittarius, we tend to focus on bigger picture, wider horizon, philosophy of life, like grandiose kind of energy of life. And what's next, right? Sagittarius energy is very explorative, and it never wants to be stuck, and then it's always kind of fire going up, and then if that fire is not on, they get very easily feeling stagnated. But now Mercury is returning back to the deep oceanic water element of Scorpio, and then that is gonna drag us down a little bit, right? But it's not high is good and low is bad. It's the depths that we must meet to transform something. The transformation doesn't happen only on the surface, even though the metaphorical expression of snake shedding a skin seem to be very superficial layer that we are peeling off, but that transformation process starts in our depths, so that we are digging into our depths to find certain alchemical, certain energy that needs to be alchemized in order for us to return back to our true power, and so that we can start standing in that power and start navigating through life differently. And right as Mercury goes back into Scorpio, Mercury will oppose Uranus, because Uranus just entered back into Taurus on November 7th, I believe, right? So the Uranus is at 29 degrees of Taurus. And so Mercury, when it goes back into 29 degrees of Scorpio, it opposes Uranus. And this is the second time. It happened already before Mercury started its retrograde. And then this is the second meeting. Mercury and Uranus. Uranus is the higher archetype of Mercury, so they are both very mental energy. It's the very strong antenna energy, the receptor energy. And when Mercury meets Uranus, Uranus the awakener, Uranus the break, the force that can bring a breakthrough, sudden lightning like shift of energy. This can happen, right? This new moon will oppose Uranus also. So this new moon holds very strong ascension energy, the breakthrough energy, break up, break down, breakthrough, total liberation and freedom energy. This new moon is so potent. And now because Neptune is also at 29 degrees of Pisces, critical degrees, all the outer planets at 29 degrees, Uranus will go back to 25 degrees of with Taurus, and then it's going to come back to 29 degrees again next year. But Neptune is at 29 degrees, and it's not going anywhere else but staying at this 29 degrees. This is huge, right? Neptune and Uranus both in sextile with each other. This is the energy that hasn't happened since late 60s. This is the energy that will continue to be with us for the next few years. But this is a great turning point of an era. So that similar kind of big vibe shift is happening, and then we are moving through that in a bigger picture and frame of time, right? And then on the 20th, that is happening. Yeah, right. So Mercury retrograded back into Scorpio on Tuesday, and on Wednesday Mercury Uranus opposition, Mercury Neptune trine, and Venus will be speaking with the North Node and South Node then also. These are the days right before the new moon. We want to clarify our intention toward this new moon. This is the new moon of depth, and it's the new moon of alchemy. This whole week feels like a sacred ritual, like a sacred passage toward like a baptism kind of energy, right? I'm not familiar with Christianity, so I shouldn't even use that word, but that water element, because elemental water is so strong now, and it is cleansing and clearing and rebirthing, and it is revitalizing something now. So there is this kind of energy of this is the sacred path that we are moving through toward that new moon, and new moon is a sacred portal that we are going to move through to reborn anew. Kind of energy is very strong, and take life as a ritual this week extra, and we want to be very intentional through this week. And so earlier the week, we want to clarify what needs to be released, what needs to be let go of, rather than even finding clarity on that. Like, pay attention to the things that you're holding on to. Many times those things can be very unconscious. We can be unconsciously holding on to certain things by feeling certain way or believing certain ways, and then we don't even see that's the weight that is weighing me down. So we want to pay attention to what is holding us small in a little container, because this grand water trine is inviting us that we are as vast as the eternity, and we need to dissolve those limits that we are holding to our own, right? Just release. And this is the week that we need to trust the divine flow and leap into the unknown, right? Letting go of all the control and be carried. Be carried. Trust the current of the cosmos. Now, this new moon is massive. It's happening around 1:47, 1:48 a.m. in the Eastern time zone of November 20th. So it can be happening on the 19th if you are in the West Coast. But this is the new moon happening at 28 degrees, and it is in conjunction with Mercury. Mercury Kazemi is happening. Kazemi during the Mercury retrograde is the midpoint of the retrograde, and it is always this revitalization point for Mercury. Mercury is jumping into the blazing fire of the sun, and it is aligning with the heart of the sun so that we can be purified and cleansed within the mind. All the identity, all the storyline that has created who we are up to this point, we are letting them burn up and be purified and released so that we can emerge as this divine being. Now we remember who we were as this divine spark of cosmic consciousness. And then on the 21st, Sun will oppose Uranus at 29 degrees. Sun will also trine Neptune, just like how Mercury did at 29 degrees. And then the Sun will ingress into Sagittarius on November 21st around 8:36 p.m. in the Eastern time zone. And then after Sun ingresses into Sag, like I said, it will sextile Pluto. That exact sextile will happen on the 23rd, and revitalization point of like seeing more clarity will come into our way. But right on a Saturday, 22nd, because Mercury is going backward, just like in the beginning of the week on Monday, Sun trined Jupiter and Saturn. This Mercury will go back to that 25 degrees point on Saturday, 22nd, to trine Jupiter, trine Saturn. Both Jupiter and Saturn are slow moving right now because Jupiter just stationed retrograde and Saturn is about to station direct at the end of November. So they are slow movement. And then there is density, there is crystallization, something happening. But Jupiter and Saturn, even though they're both at 25 degrees, they're not gonna be exactly in trine because Saturn is moving kind of gently forward and Jupiter going backward. They're not gonna meet exactly. They're only meeting exact at the end of August 2026. On August 31st of 2026, they will be in trine in fire signs with Jupiter in Leo and Saturn in Aries. So, this is the beginning point of that trine. And them talking, their synodic cycle started on the winter solstice of December 2020. So this is kind of a reflection point of that last 5 years. This is the reflection point of the past 14 years even, because Neptune ingressed into Pisces in 2011, 2012, right? This is a big moment to reflect back and how far we've come. And one card that flipped, Ace of Wands. And finally, after moving through all the crazy ties of life and currents of drama in life, we are grabbing onto that Ace of Wands. It's the magician wand to start creating magic and miracles, or rather start seeing everything as magic and miracles with this magic wand holding in our heart. That's that thing. The more that I'm trying to make magic happen and miracles happen, that is a resistance. That's a form of resistance that we gotta give up, because everything is magic, everything is a miracle. We are embodiment of all that. Life is the embodiment of magic and miracles, and start seeing that rather than trying to make something else happen, right? The more simply that we start to accept everything as magic essence just expands, and we be in bliss, right? What is another card for this week ahead? Eight of Cups. This is resonating with this week. This is the card of transformation. I feel like I recently received this card too. This is a card of transformation. All the 8 is the minor cards that represent some kind of a transformation. And with cups, it is a transformation that is happening in our emotional field, in our psychic field. And we are choosing to move away from the tangible material things in a way that this cup can represent, and we are going into that sacred holy mountain for our spiritual soul quest. It is the magician kind of figure holding, wearing that red cape and wearing red boots and holding a cane like magic wand, and he chooses to go into the holy mountain within. And the more that we go into that holy cave of solitude, to be like a hermit. This is the card of like a minor hermit, and the back of the deck is the Hanged Man. This too I recently received. So this Scorpio season is all that. We are reversing everything. We are remembering our true nature and true essence. In order to do that, we have to slow down and be quiet and be receptive and receive. And we are choosing to return back to our truth by choosing to surrender and release all the resistance, and back to serenity. Serenity that is here. The divinity that is here. We are the embodiment of all that divine light. And when we return back to that, we know we are all one. Thank you very much for listening. Much love. Peace.